Oh, God, is it ever going to end? Well, not quite yet. Part 18. So where we left off on the old mix form is we had basically filled in all of the ingredients data. And we had created these drop downs, which I've done a little bit of work on behind the scenes just to make them a little bit wider and to make the columns the correct width so we can see both the bottle identification here and how much is left in that bottle. So we're getting pretty close to finishing this off. However, what I want to do is, and I've added an ingredient to this recipe to highlight what I want to do now. So as we can see, for French vanilla, we require 2.5 ml of it. And if we open the drop down here, we can see that we've got two bottles that have something in. One has 2 ml in, the other one has 20 ml in. So what we want to do really is to take the 2 ml out of that one, put it in here, and then probably select the other one here and put in, let's say, 18. However, we have to kind of jiggly pokery that sort of maths round in our head. So it would be quite nice, seeing as, I mean, it is just a nice to have, but seeing as we're doing these things, why not put in the nice to haves? It would be quite nice if the tool then worked out, if we'd put 2 in here, that there is 18 remaining and, you know, populate it in there. And if we had a third bottle, do that. So I'm going to pop into, let's close this. Yeah, we'll leave that open. So I'm going to pop into the embedded mix ingredient form design view, and I'm going to add a little bit of code to do that work for us. And so that is now sort of done. Well, hopefully I haven't actually tested it yet, but fingers crossed it works. So basically we've got these three fields here, text boxes where the amount of that bottle we're going to use go in. And on each one I have firstly named it stock ing vol _1 and then _2 and _3. So basically the same name just with a different index on the end. And for each one of those it has an on change handler. So this will be called every time somebody changes the contents of the box even slightly. So if we open up that code, you'll see that, ignore the stuff at the top here because that was from yesterday. But if we see what we've got is we've got basically a change handler for each one of those. And like we did yesterday, basically it's going to be calling a single subroutine down here that does the work. And it just passes in the underscore or the 1 or the 2 or the 3 at the end. So it knows which one we're actually changed. So the subroutine down at the bottom basically takes the total amount of volume that we need to mix for this ingredient. It then works out whether the ID that we just changed or the field that we just changed was 1, 2 or 3, because obviously depending on which one it is, it has to do different things. So if we change the first stock ingredient volume, basically what it's going to do is it's going to take the total volume, subtract what we just put into the first volume, and make that the amount in the number 2, so stock ing vol 2. So that will be the balance as what's needed. It will then set the third one to 0 because in theory that's the total amount that we need. 1 and 2 should contain the total mixing volume for the ingredient. We then just update the run total, which is it's just telling us how much so far we've selected, with basically the amount that's in boxes 1, 2 and 3. And hopefully that should add up to, and this is just kind of a visual indicator really for us to know that we've selected enough. And so we can see that that adds up to the total we require. More or less the same thing if we've clicked number 2. Obviously it's going to, you know, assume that we've already filled in number 1, so it's then going to update stock ingredient volume 3 box with the total minus 1 and 2, and then again likewise update the running total. If it's 3, then well, we've come to the end of the road really, and it's just going to add up the total that we've added into 1, 2 and 3 at that point. And then it's just going to update that onto the actual value on the form. So let's give it a test. Make a mix. Let's select 1 100 ml that we want to make of the mix. Click create, go down to the bottom. We don't really have this issue with the top ones because basically we can say, well, there's enough of that one. So that's done with, and it'll be the same for all the others except the ingredient at the bottom, the French Vanilla V2, where we need 5 ml. And if we open this up, we've got 2 ml in one bottle. So if we click that, update that to 2, and I suppose in a real nice world that would automatically update to 2, but I haven't done that. And you can see that automatically it's calculated that the second column will need to be 3, and yeah, that's giving us our running total there. So it's 2 plus 3 is 5, which is the amount that we need as here. So we would then go into that and just simply select that one, and that would do. However, let's say that this bottle only had 1 in it. So let's update this to 1 and keep an eye on this column here. So that is 2, and our running total is still 5. So it's 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 5. And that's basically it for that. And I think, all being well, certainly for the time being, we've dealt with everything that we need to deal with on this most complicated part of the database, the mixed ingredients subform. There's a couple of other things that we need to do to finish off the mix form, and that is deal with the abort button, the close button and the consume button, and we'll get to that next. Watching paint dry would be more interesting.